Hey guys, welcome to my first podcast. I'm going to be going over week 8. Take it easy on me. This is my first podcast. First, I'll be going over my week 7 picks. It's my second good week in a row. Ended up going 8 4 and 1. And usually, my philosophy, I'll go over that quickly, is just to do mostly single bets. If I can do like a 2 team or a maximum 3 team parlay where I'm using dogs to maximize my odds. I'll do something like that. Like you'll see on my picks here, I took Florida, Michigan State. I thought those were pretty live dogs. So going over the picks, I did like Tulsa coming into this game, plus 14 and a half. Figured they had a pretty solid passing offense. East Carolina, um, a mediocre defense at best, so I definitely like the points there. And Baylor ended up being one of the, I think, easiest picks, best picks of the week. Their offense is unstoppable. I think they even started off slow, but they're just, I think his name is Casey Coleman or Corey Coleman is just unbelievable. He's going to put up crazy stats this year. West Virginia's defense is definitely weak. So that was a really easy cover. This was probably my top pick of the day. It wasn't as easy of a cover as I thought it would be, but saw Purdue play a lot this year. Definitely solid team. Just kind of all around, nothing, no real strengths, no real weaknesses. But the main reason I like this is I still think Wisconsin's an overrated team. Uh, Still a pretty good defense, but their offense is nothing like it used to be. Couldn't even name you their running back, even though there's been a stretch of maybe 10 years where they've had a dominant running back. So 22 and a half seemed like a lot. That was an easy pick. Northwestern was tough. A lot of people like Northwestern, but that didn't happen. Figured their defense would just dominate, get a couple turnovers, but that didn't work out. Marshall, I liked a lot. Definitely an underrated team. Pretty good offense, decent passing attack. Mostly the reason I like to pick is I still think FAU is overrated for some reason. I mean, they've had one or two good showings, but their offense and their defense is very inconsistent. So I took Marshall, who looked like a more consistent team there. And then Alabama, I wish I went more on that. I mean, I didn't know much about Texas A&M, but Alabama has definitely got it going. Um, their offense is really clicking, passing, and obviously the running attack is amazing. Their defense is solid for the SEC, nothing like it used to be, say 5 years ago, but plenty good to dominate in the SEC. Miami was a good pick. That is my favorite team, so I try not to get emotional with that. Um, they've had some close games, they've had some tough games, but they have a pretty good offense, very good passing attack. And Virginia Tech's looked very inconsistent this year. Sometimes they bring it on offense, sometimes they bring it on defense, but figured I'd go with a consistent team against the inconsistent team, kind of like what I did with FAU. So that was a fairly easy cover. Michigan State, we all know what happened there, even though I felt like they controlled that game. So I felt like the right money was, or the smart money was on Michigan State. Um, I don't know the way I would say it is. If they played that game 10 times, Michigan State would cover 7.5 or 8 points. Um, 7 of those times. So I just felt like there was a lot of value there. Taking a look at the late afternoon and night action. I had 2 ACC games that I mean I follow that really closely. Being a big Miami Hurricane fan, tend to follow the SEC close as well as the Pac-10. I did like Clemson in North Carolina. Clemson, not necessarily because of them. I've seen Boston College play a good amount this year, and I think they were coming off a game where they might have been against UConn where they got shut out or they scored 3 points, and they just can't get their offense going. They've had a decent running attack in the past, which has gone away for some reason. And they definitely have had no passing attack. So, and Clemson's defense has improved over the past couple of years. They've always had a great offense for at least the last 5 years. So I was betting more on them shutting down Boston College, holding them to 10 or less points. But that didn't happen. It ended up being a push on that. So that was kind of surprising. North Carolina started off slow, but really got it going. I think it ended up being somewhat close, but North Carolina is a really good team. I'm keeping an eye on them. They're definitely not a top 10 team, but I think clearly top 25 team. Very good offense, solid defense. They may be, I think, the second best team in the ACC. Behind Clemson, I like them better than FSU. I like them better than Miami. No one else really comes to mind. So I like those picks. A lot of people liked Iowa State, and I jumped on that. That was kind of a crazy game. TCU, maybe a lot of people looking ahead to the Baylor game. They were looking really good through the first half or middle second quarter. I think they were up 21-14. You can even see a bet here. I had the money line. I was getting excited about that. But they just shut it off. TCU's defense isn't even that great. It's good, but it's not great. So that was just weird that Ohio State I think there was like a 42-0 run by TCU, something crazy. Then let's take a look at the night action. A lot of people were on USC. Actually, I guess it was kind of mixed. I do still think Notre Dame's an overrated team, though Everett Golson has looked better the last couple of weeks. I didn't think much of him coming into the season, but he's better than I think. USC is kind of an inconsistent team. They definitely made a game of it in the middle of the third, but I was never that confident with them. They've been just too inconsistent, but I don't know. I like the +6 on that. Temple -20. I played that small. Temple, not sure what to make of them. I guess they're still undefeated, but haven't really played much up to this point. Central Florida is really bad. That's probably the reason I went with that. Ohio State, wow, that was, I mean, either that, I like this pick even more than Purdue. It's probably my pick of the day. I've been following Penn State really closely this year since their opening week. Hackenberg was considered a top prospect. I am not impressed with him. I don't see him being a starting NFL quarterback. Their defense is definitely solid. But Ohio State was able to get it going, and it looks like they've made the quarterback change to J.T. Barrett. Their defense can be very good. I guess that kind of depends on their opponent, Ohio State. I mean, they may have the best athletes in the nation. So that ended up being, I think, a pretty easy win. Don't think much of Penn State. And I guess from what I was seeing, I just went with TCU in the second half. So it just looked like Iowa State. That was just a bit of a hedge there, but that was still a very weird game. Felt like Iowa State definitely deserved to cover that game. Alright guys, I want to show you my setup here. Been a college football fanatic for say almost 30 years now, so nice to have my own place. I got set up of 3 TVs here. I use my monitor here, get games on ESPN. I'll even set up my iPad, and I go from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. I watch the college game day pregame, and I'm just trying to take in as much knowledge as I can. I even write down notes. It's a passion of mine, and you'll see from the bets I've been making that definitely not a handicapper, not trying to make a living doing this, but I enjoy it. If I can make 50, $100 each week, I'm cool with that, and just trying to have some fun with this. If I can make a little money for you guys too, even sweeter. Alright guys, I'm going to take a look at Friday night's games. It's early Friday morning now. Already took a look at those. So what I usually like to do is I'll take a look at both teams, do some research on stats, obviously check out some injuries, check out the weather, and I try to determine my own spread. So I won't even look at the Vegas spreads, and I'll just write down what I think the spread should be. And if I see a big discrepancy, then that's a game I'll look deeper into. Things I look into is like if they're a running team against a poor rushing attack, so they can control the ball a lot. Maybe less likely for turnovers. Maybe if you got a team like our first matchup is going to be Memphis and Tulsa, so I've been following Tulsa very closely this year, and they've got a on and off passing attack, but they're pretty much just a passing team. I think they play in a pistol, and they just try to run off of that sometimes. So yeah, again, I'll jump right into that matchup. And so in Vegas, I did take Tulsa against Oklahoma. I saw them play the week before, and I'm like, they got a pretty solid offense, and they were killing them on bubble screens. And Oklahoma's defense was just getting eaten up. I'm looking at a score. It was like something like 52-38, so it was an easy cover, 33 points, and I thought really highly of Tulsa, and I think I took them the next week, or I took them last week too, but their passing attack just definitely hasn't looked the same. Like I said, they don't have much of a running attack, and their defense, it's kind of like a bend don't break. It reminds me of the Miami Hurricanes defense. They play like a lot of zone, and they're just hoping not to give up a big play. But if you got a really good or a pretty good offense like East Carolina did last week, they're going to put up points against them. Their secondary is weak. They can get beat. They've gotten beat a lot this year, and they play back, so they're susceptible to a running attack as well. And I mean, we saw what Memphis can do against Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss definitely doesn't have even a good defense, an okay defense at best, but I mean, their quarterback's for real. Their quarterback, I think Mel Kiper has him as the second or third best prospect now. So some people are going to look at it, and I mean, that was one of my thoughts, that Memphis is going to be down after maybe one of their biggest wins ever as a team. But I'm going to kind of look at it as Boise State maybe like 10 years ago when they would often be an undefeated team or a one-loss team, and they tried to qualify for a BCS game. And so I think Memphis is in the same shoes. I don't think they're going to have a chance to make the top four, but they can continue to dominate teams and cover spreads. They have a good shot at making one of what do they call it now? One of the New Year's 6 games, something like that. So one of the top 6 bowl games. So I think Memphis has got something to prove. They're gonna try to be focused every week. Like I said, I don't think Tulsa's much of a defense. Their offense, at least, the only thing they have going for them is their passing game, and that hasn't looked good. And the spread that I came up with was Memphis 12.5. It's now like 10.5. So there's not that much value in it, but I'm going to factor in that Memphis has something to prove every week, and I'm going to try to buy that down. So I'm actually going to try to find like 9.5 on that, and I'll probably just play that for like 1 unit. So whatever that 1 unit, I mean, 1 unit for me is $10. 1 unit for you might be $100. So I mean, that's my play on that. I looked at Utah State and San Diego State. Utah State's suddenly playing really well without Chucky Keaton, which is surprising. Don't know much about their new quarterback. Their defense, I guess, is playing a little better, but last week, I guess they surprised Boise State, but Boise State had something like 5 turnovers. So I'm not sure what to take from that game. I had the spread 4.5. That's what it came out as. It has like 4. It's been bought up to 5. So I'm not going to play that game. As far as Saturday, I did take a look at Rice and Army, 2 teams I've sort of follow those games. Those teams tend to be on the CBS Sports Network, and so both of them actually, it's interesting. They both are running teams. Obviously, you know, Army will play like a triple option, but I think Rice pretty much plays a triple option as well too, or maybe like a pistol, but like definitely a running attack. And both teams tend to be better against the rush as well. So I had the spread Rice -1. I think it's something like Rice is favored by 5 or 6, something higher than that. So I don't really have a play on the line, but I do like the under here. I did take a look at the weather. There's supposed to be rain all day. So both teams know to play, are going to play well against the rush. It's going to be a running game. You're going to see a lot of the clock's going to be running throughout the game. And what I'm hoping for both of these teams, I did look at the turnover margin. Both of these teams are like in the bottom 50 in the FBS and turnover margin. They both give up something like 0.6 per game to their opponents. So I'm hoping between that and the rain, we can see anywhere from 3 to 5 turnovers between both teams, maybe a couple of missed field goals. So I had the over/under at 48.5. It's something at 55. It's gone down from 58. So that's something I would jump on now, assuming the weather's going to stay the same. But I think that I can easily see that going down to 52 or lower before the game. So that's something I would jump on right now. Those are my picks so far. I'll try to come back at you guys tomorrow late night as well and take a look at Saturday's schedule.